എടാ ഇനിയിപ്പോ എന്താ പ്രശ്നം തുടങ്ങാത്തെന്താ? എന്താടാ സൗണ്ട് കേൾപ്പിക്കാടാ, ക്രിഞ്ചടിക്കുന്നു.
അതിന്റെ എല്ലാ സൗണ്ട് ഓഫ് ചെയ്ത് വെച്ചോ. ആ എടി ടൈമർ ഇടാറില്ല ഒരാള്. പെട്ടെന്ന് ആക്കടാ, തുമ്മാൻ തുടങ്ങി നിർത്തത്തില്ല. പെട്ടെന്ന് ഞാൻ 1 മണിക്കൂർ മുമ്പ് പറഞ്ഞതാ, അപ്പൊ നടല്ല. നീ
പെട്ടെന്ന് കാഷ്വലായിട്ട് നാച്ചുറലായിട്ട് ആക്ട് ചെയ്യണം.
The consequences for journalists and civilians according to the Committee to Protect Journalists.
Madhiha, you are set, I guess, here in this thing. Ada Madhiha സംസാരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? അല്ല കുഴപ്പമില്ല. അപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾ Madhiha കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടല്ലേ?
Good morning, this is Madhiha. Now we head to our live. Now we go live to our field reporter at Gaza. Out to you. Edo off agale. The Israel-Gaza conflict continues to escalate, resulting in devastating consequences for journalists and civilians alike. According to the illa paatu varunilla. Avukku. Eda Dasappa, nee vekkule bulletinte paatu. Okay.
വെയിറ്റ് വെക്കട്ടെ. ഭരത്തെ എണീച്ച് നിന്നോ, നിന്നെ വിളിക്കുമ്പോ അവിടുന്ന്
റെഡി.
ഭരത്തെ അല്ല, നിന്റെത് വരുമ്പോ ബാക്കില് ഗ്രൗണ്ട് ഒക്കെ കാണിക്കും. ഗ്രൗണ്ടിൽ കൂടെ ഉരുണ്ട് വരുന്ന റിപ്പോർട്ട്.
Madhiha, can you hear me? No. എടാ ഞാനെന്താ ചിരിക്കാണ്, നീ ചിരിക്കായിരിക്കും.
എടാ അമൃതേ, ന്യൂസിഫൈന്റെ ലോഗോ ഇടുന്നുണ്ടാ ഫസ്റ്റ്? സ്റ്റാർട്ടിങ് എന്താ? എടാ ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് കാണിക്കണം, ഞാൻ ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് അങ്ങോട്ട് തിരിയണം. എടാ അമൃത ഇവിടെ വന്ന് കാണിച്ചോ P2C. എടാ ഞാൻ ഇങ്ങോട്ട് നോക്ക്, ഇങ്ങോട്ട് വാ. എന്തോ കാണിക്കുന്നേ?
ഞാൻ പ്രിപ്പയർ ആയതാ.
A warm good morning to all. Welcome to Newsify channel.
Now we are watching today's top headlines. I am Akhil.
This is Shipna.
Let's dive into the bulletins.
UK Prime Minister supports India's UNSC bid. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has thrown his weight behind India's bid for a permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council. Speaking at the 79th UN General Assembly, Starmer joined leaders from the US and France in endorsing India's inclusion, along with Brazil, Japan and Germany. He stressed the need for the UNSC to evolve and reflect the current global landscape, marking a pivotal moment in international diplomacy.
Israel-Gaza conflict claims 128 journalists. The Israel-Gaza conflict continues to claim lives, with 128 journalists killed, including 123 Palestinians. The Committee to Protect Journalists reports that 5 journalists were deliberately targeted by Israeli forces. The conflict's toll on media workers highlights the dangers of reporting in war zones as violence escalates in the region.
Centre opposes marital rape criminalization. The Indian government has opposed the criminalization of marital rape in the Supreme Court, stating that A holistic approach is required due to its socio-legal implications. The Center argues that punishing sexual acts within marriage could harm the institution and calls for broader consultation before any legal change.
Ratan Tata passed away at 88. India mourns the loss of industrialist and philanthropist Ratan Tata, who passed away at 88. As a former chairman of Tata Group, Tata transformed the company into a global giant and left a lasting legacy through his philanthropic efforts in education, healthcare, and social welfare.
Earthquake in Assam. A 4.2 magnitude earthquake hit Assam's Udalguri district yesterday, causing panic but not reported casualties. The quake was felt across nearby regions including parts of Arunachal Pradesh and Bhutan. Authorities are assessing the damage and urging residents to remain calm and aftershocks are possible.
Sri Lanka's economic recovery shows progress. Sri Lanka's economic crisis is showing signs of improvement thanks to a $2.9 billion IMF loan program. The program focusing on debt restructuring, fiscal reforms, and anti-corruption. While challenges remain, the country is slowly stabilizing and moving towards sustainable growth.
SpaceX achieves mid-air rocket recovery. SpaceX successfully launched its latest rocket, Starship, and recovered its booster mid-air using giant robotic arms known as Mechazilla. The groundbreaking technology reduces costs and enhances sustainability for future space missions, marking another milestone in reusable space travel innovation.
Jairam Ramesh criticizes Make in India. Congress leader Jairam Ramesh has slammed the Modi government's Make in India initiative, calling it fake in India. He highlighted unmet promises like low industrial growth and job creation while imports from China have risen. The government, however, maintains the initiative has strengthened India's manufacturing sector.
Kidney transplant racket exposed. Delhi police busted a major kidney transplant racket involving 8 criminals across 5 states. The operation, led by Sandeep Arya, allegedly facilitated 34 illegal transplants worth 10 crore rupees. The racket was exposed after a complaint by a victim's family, leading to Arya's arrest.
Air India Express emergency landing. An Air India Express flight bound from Sharjah made an emergency landing in Trichy after suffering hydraulic failure. The plane circled for 2 hours to burn fuel before landing safely. Emergency protocols were swiftly activated and 144 passengers were unharmed.
Rafael Nadal announces retirement. Tennis legend Rafael Nadal announced his retirement, marking November's Davis Cup finals as his last tournament. After struggling with injuries, the 22-time Grand Slam winner expressed gratitude for his career and is excited to end it while representing Spain on the global stage.
So let's go on to the main news.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has voiced his support for India's bid to become a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, joining US and French leaders in this endorsement. During his address at the 79th session of the UN General Assembly, Starmer emphasized the need for the UNSC to evoke and become more representative of the current global landscape by including nations like India, Brazil, Japan, and Germany. This move is seen as crucial in reflecting the geopolitical realities of the 21st century and ensuring the Security Council's effectiveness. India's long-standing aspiration for a permanent seat could gain momentum with the significant backing from the UK, potentially leading to further discussions and negotiations among the member states. India's inclusion is considered essential for making the UNSC more representative and legitimate in addressing global issues. The UK's endorsement is a critical step in the ongoing efforts to restructure the UNSC and could pave the way for other influential countries to follow suit, leading to comprehensive discussion on the matter in future UN session. This development underscores the growing consequences on the need for an updated global governance structure.
The Israel-Gaza conflict continues to escalate, resulting in devastating consequences for journalists and civilians alike. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, at least 128 journalists have been killed, including 123 Palestinians, 2 Israelis, and 3 Lebanese. Tragically, 5 journalists were directly targeted by Israeli forces, and their deaths have been classified as murders. The loss of these journalists highlights the extreme dangers faced by the media in conflict zones. For a more detailed report from the ground, we now go to our live reporter at Gaza. Over to you. Madiha.
Good morning, this is Madiha reporting live from Israel. The Israel-Gaza conflict continues to escalate, resulting in devastating consequences for journalists and civilians. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, at least 128 journalists and media workers have been killed, including 123 Palestinians, 2 Israelis, and 3 Lebanese. Tragically, 5 journalists were directly targeted by Israeli forces, and their deaths have been classified as murders. The loss of these journalists underscores the extreme dangers faced by the media in conflict zones. The ongoing violence has caused widespread devastation, displacing thousands and leading to a humanitarian crisis. Aid organizations are struggling to provide necessary support due to the continuous bombings and blockades. Hospitals are overwhelmed with casualties, and there is a shortage of medical supplies. Schools and homes have been destroyed, leaving with families without shelters. The psychological impact on children and adults alike is profound, with many experiencing trauma and loss. The conflict has not only resulted in significant loss of life, but also severe damage to infrastructure. The people of Gaza and Israel are caught in the crossfire, suffering the consequences of a conflict that shows no signs of abating. The international community is watching closely, with many countries condemning the violence and calling for an end to hostilities. Diplomatic efforts are underway, but progress is slow and uncertain. This is Madiha reporting live. Back to you in the studio.
Centre opposes marital rape criminalization in Supreme Court. The central government opposed the criminalization of marital rape in the Supreme Court, stating that matter relating to marital rape needs a comprehensive approach rather than a strict legal approach, as it can have very far-reaching socio-legal implications in the country. If sexual acts by a man with his own wife is made punishable as rape, it may several impacts the conjugal relationship and lead to serious disturbance in the institution of marriage. The Senate told that the Supreme Court, according to news agency PTI, it is submitted that the act colloquially referred to as marital rape ought to be illegal and criminalized. The central government asserts that a woman's consent is not obliterated by marriage and its violation should result in penal consequences. However, the consequences of such violations within marriage differs from those outside it. The affidavit said it said Parliament has provided different remedies, including criminal law provisions to protect consent with marriage. The union stated that alternative remedies in law already exist to protect married women against sexual violence and attracting the offense of rape to the institution of marriage by excessively harsh and disproportionate. The Senate claims that to decide the matter, a holistic approach is required to be taken. After due consultation with all states, it added that the issue raised before the court presently is more social than legal, and criminalization of marital rape falls within the ambit of legislative policy.
സ്പീഡ് ഭയങ്കര സ്ലോ ആക്കല്ലേ, നേരെ ഇരിക്കണം.
La Vigna, as early as you.
ഓക്കെ, ഒരുപാട് സ്പീഡ് ഉണ്ട് കേട്ടോ. With heavy hearts, we share the news of passing of legendary industrialist, philanthropist, and true icon of India, Ratan Naval Tata. The Indian industrialist and chairperson emeritus of Tata Group, Ratan Tata, passed away today at the age of 88. His life has been an epitome of innovation, compassion, and a deep commitment to India's march forward. That moment in history has left an indelible mark on the nation and the world. Known originally for a rich industrial heritage in the family, Ratan Tata took over command of the Tata Group in 1991, and from his very vision, the group transformed into a world leader in products ranging from the automobiles, steel, hospitality, and technology sectors to others. But it was not business acumen alone that made him so beloved. Under the leadership of Ratan Tata, the Tata Trusts have touched the lives of millions through initiatives in healthcare, education, rural development, and social welfare. This is just one of many instances where Ratan Tata has been proved to possess a compassionate heart. A child was diagnosed with a rare, there's a technical issue happening. Ratan Tata is legally far beyond the business world. He was one true patriot devoted to India's development. His belief in innovation and entrepreneurship inspired so many young minds to achieve their dreams. In remembering and mourning this tremendous loss, let's remember to pay homage in his words. I believe in life, I believe in giving, I believe in the Tata Group, and I believe in India. His spirit will live among us every day.
A 4.2 magnitude earthquake struck Assam yesterday afternoon, sending tremendous across several nearby regions, including parts of western Arunachal Pradesh and eastern Bhutan. മനസ്സിലാവുന്നില്ല,
ഒന്ന് വായിച്ചു തുടങ്ങി.
അത് പോയതാ. The Sri Lankan government has announced a long-awaited debt restructuring deal with its sovereign bondholders, providing relief for the financially struggling country. In a statement, the Ministry of Finance said that the agreement with both international and local holders of its international sovereign bonds was reached on September 19th. Sri Lanka's officials also finished discussing with its officials, creditors committee and the IMF, and the deal follows the principle of fair treatment for creditors. For a more detailed report from the ground, we now go live with our field reporter. Adra is joining with us.
Sri Lanka's officials have expressed optimism about the deal. The President Ranil Wickremesinghe stating that it will boost international trust in the debt-ridden economy. So, thanks to the International Monetary Fund's IMF's $2.9 billion 4-year loan approved in March 2023, conditioned upon restructuring Sri Lanka's external debt. President Anurag Kumar Dissanayake, National People's Power Government, has demonstrated willingness to support the deal, which focuses on 5 key pillars: ambitious revenue based on the fiscal consolidation, strengthening fiscal institutions, restoration of public debt sustainability, debt restructuring, multi-pronged strategy for price stability, utilizing exchange rate flexibility, policies for financial structure stability, supporting economic growth, structural reforms, etc., anti-corruption and governance measures. Sri Lanka has received 3 payments of $360 million each under this program, with the third installment released in mid-June. The IMF praises the authorities' efforts to negotiate with creditors, expecting the restructuring exercise to be completed by the first review of the program. The economic crisis was triggered by the former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. However, IMF's support program aims to enhance fiscal discipline and transparency, to promote exchange rate flexibility, to strengthen financial sector supervision, to foster economic growth and job creation. While challenges persist, Sri Lanka's progress under the IMF program is encouraging. Continued commitment from the government and IMF support can help restore economic stability to promote sustainable growth. In fact, the World Bank Group has been supporting Sri Lanka's development for over 7 decades, with a current focus on economic stabilization, structural reforms, and protection of poor and vulnerable. As of June 2024, the World Bank has approved $2.31 billion in lending to support 14 projects, including sustainable development, infrastructure, human development, and equitable growth. The Country Partnership Framework (CPF) for Sri Lanka aims to focus on economic stabilization and green, resilient, and inclusive development.
I'm going to quit. Are you sure? Okay, I'll show you one. What is this? Just read. You will find something you like. Do you still want to quit? I'm definitely going to start playing again.
A weekly cup of positivity now at your doorstep every Wednesday.
President Joe Biden has urged Israel not to target Iran's oil field, aiming to prevent an escalation into full-scale regional conflict. Speaking from the White House, Biden recognized Israel's intent to respond to Iran's recent launch in around 200 missiles at Israel's targets. While acknowledging Israel's right to retaliate, Biden advised Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu against striking oil or nuclear facilities in Iran to avoid further destabilizing the area. President Biden said Israel hasn't yet decided on its response to recent attacks and advised against targeting Iran's oil fields, warning that this could greatly escalate tensions and disrupt energy markets, especially for China. For more detailed report from the ground, we go live to our field reporter. Janet, over to you.
Amid escalating tensions between Israel and Iran, President Joe Biden sought to prevent an Israel attack on Iran's oil fields, fearing such action would further destabilize the region and significantly impact global energy markets. The US President confirmed Israel's intention to retaliate for Iran's recent ballistic missile barrage, which targeted Israeli territory. While some missiles breached Israel's defenses, they caused minimal damage, prompting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to pledge a response. President Biden acknowledged Israel's right to retaliate, but urged Prime Minister Netanyahu to explore other alternatives to target Iran's critical oil infrastructure. This stance reflects concerns about the global energy market, as crude oil prices have already surged by 9.1% over the week amid fears of supply disruptions. Biden's efforts are aimed at controlling the conflict and preventing further escalation that could choke off oil supply, especially to major importers like China. Tensions in the region are heightened as Israel continues military operations against Hezbollah in Lebanon, where Israeli airstrikes have killed 1,500 people and displaced 1 million, according to Lebanese sources. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei warned that Iran would retaliate again if necessary, calling the missile barrage the minimum punishment for Israel's actions. Tehran also expressed willingness to support a conditioned ceasefire, but only if it included Hezbollah and Hamas. From the political context of the US, both President Biden and former President Donald Trump weighed in on the appropriate response to the situation. Trump criticized Biden's approach, advocating instead for an Israeli strike on Iran's nuclear facilities. Biden, however, maintained his position stressing the need for measured actions. Additionally, the US and its G7 allies are considering further sanctions on Iran, particularly targeting its oil sector, which is already heavily restricted. Biden's administration is in close consultation with Israel as the situation continues to unfold.
Thank you, Janet. Back to me news. In a ground reporting demonstration of the advanced aerospace technology, SpaceX successfully launched its latest rocket on Sunday, 13th October, and marking a significant step forward in the company's mission to evolutionize space travel. The highlight of the mission was mid-air recovery of the rocket's booster with the massive robotic arm known as Mechazilla, showcasing SpaceX's innovative capabilities and paving way for future exploration beyond Earth. The launch took place from Boca Chica, Texas, where the rocket Starship lifted off as planned in 7:25 a.m. and the mission aimed to test new systems and validate improvements in both performances and recovery technology. Rather than having boosters that land in the ocean as a typical at T plus 6 minutes and 75 seconds after liftoff, SpaceX managed to slow it from speeds in excess of 17,000 mph and guides it gently back to the launch pad and catch it in a pair of giant mechanical arms, gently cradling in the engine shutdown. This successful recovery reduces cost and increase and sustainability of space missions. Elon Musk, CEO of SpaceX, expressed his excitement over the achievement, stating, just inspected the Starship booster, which the arms have now placed back in its launch mount. Looks great. The technology used in the mid-air recovery is a significant advancement in reusable rocket systems, which SpaceX have pioneered over the last decade. Previous recovery attempts have been made via landing on platform, but the latest Fiat represents a new level of engineering, expertise and innovation. Industry experts anticipate that this development could lead to more frequent launches and lower costs for satellite development and in interplanetary missions. SpaceX plans to leverage the data and gathered during the test flights to further refine its systems and prepare for future missions, including the highly anticipated crewed flights to Mars. As SpaceX continues to push boundaries to space exploration, the successful launch and recovery of the Starship marks another chapter in the company's remarkable journey towards making space travel a routine part of life. On October 14, 2024, the senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh sharply criticized the Modi government and Make in India initiative, declaring it has developed into a fake in India program. Ramesh's comment highlights what he describes as a series of unmet promises made during the initiative's launch in 2024. Ramesh outlined several key objectives originally set for Prime Minister Modi, contrasting them with the current realities. 1. Increases the industrial growth to 12 to 14% annually, and in reality, since 2014, the average manufacturing growth rate has only been 5.2%. And the second objective, to create 100 million industrial jobs by 2022, and in reality, this has become a manufacturing job has decreased from 51.3 million in 2017 to 35.65 million in 2022 and 23. Objective 3, the raise manufacturing share in GDP to 25% by 2022, and this has dropped from 18.1% to in 2011-12 to 14.3% in 2022-23. Ramesh further criticized the government's economic policies, claiming that they have fostered instability and unpredictability over the past decade. He pointed to demonetization as a significant factor contributing to this economic climate, which has discouraged private investment and stifled competition. Government's response, in contrast, Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently celebrated the 10th anniversary of Make in India, asserting that the initiative has transformed India into a manufacturing powerhouse and reflects the resolve of its citizens. He emphasizes that Bharat is unstoppable. Despite the criticism, leveled by Ramesh and others.
All my friends are seeking higher education in foreign countries. I also want that standard international education for myself. But I don't want to leave this country either. So I want this country to provide that standard international education for all of us.
We don't usually get pensions on time and we always depend upon the government pensions. And the health programs are done by the government, but that is also not reaching us.
Lack of sanitation facilities are a major problem we face. Also, the gender inequalities are still prevailing in the workplace. Along with this, we don't get government allowances regularly.
Life is itself just getting difficult. Petrol prices are increasing. Daily life items prices are increasing. So the government is also increasing taxes. It's very difficult.
These are not issues of youth, but millions of youths. CDPI, nurturing equality, fostering progress, cherishing wellness in everything.
I believe in CDPI.
India's wicketkeeper batter Sanju Samson made history on Saturday, October 12, during the third T21 against Bangladesh. In a stunning display of power hitting, Samson smashed a century in just 40 balls, becoming one of the fastest century makers in T21 history. His explosive innings helped India set a record total of 297 runs. This remarkable feat solidifies Samson's reputation as a rising star in Indian cricket.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are still reeling from the sheer brilliance we witnessed here at the Rajiv Gandhi International Stadium just a few hours ago. Sanju Samson, the man of the moment, has etched his name in the record books with an innings that will be talked about for years to come. He walked in at a time when India needed a quick-fire innings, and boy did he deliver. Sanju Samson's bat was a blur as he dispatched bowlers to all parts of the ground. It was a masterclass in power hitting, a display of pure aggression and precision. Every shot was timed for perfection, every boundary was a work of art. The crowd was on their feet, roaring their approval as Samson raced towards century. When he finally reached the milestone, the stadium erupted in a cacophony of cheers. It was a moment of pure joy, a testament to Samson's talent and hard work. The innings is not about the numbers, it is about the statement it makes. Samson has shown that he is capable of taking on the best bowlers in the world and dominating them. He has announced his arrival on the international stage with a bang. As we look around, it's clear Sanju Samson is a player to watch. With his explosive batting style and his ability to perform under pressure, he has all the makings of a future superstar. The sky is the limit for this young man. Over to the studio.
Thank you, Bharat. Now we move forward to the main news. The Delhi Dhaka racket is yet another example of poor governance and lack of transparency in Indian hospitals, but instead is dominant with corrupt practices. There are no medical records to prove this, but corruption runs in the blood of these 8 criminals who were busted by the Delhi police last week after a 6-year-long operation, who were part of a kidney transplant racket run by a 39-year-old MBA graduate, Sandeep Arya. Sandeep Arya has no records of past convictions and was a well-respected kidney transplant coordinator. He was arrested this month for allegedly arranging 34 illegal kidney transplants worth 10 crores. This mafia worked across multiple hospitals in 5 different states in total: Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. They had applied for various roles, which helped in identifying donors and recipients. Sandeep Arya was exposed after one of his client's spouse reportedly lodged a complaint against him and one of his partners, Vijay Kumar Kashyap. The client, Seema Bhasin, recorded that Sandeep had denied kidney transplant for her husband despite a hefty sum of 35 lakh rupees, eventually causing his death. Arya would charge around 30 to 45 lakhs for each transplant, and the mafia would take 7 lakh rupees per each for themselves. This is known to be India's largest ever illegal kidney transplant rackets. Now, Air India Express. Air India Express flight makes emergency landing in Trichy after mid-air snag. An Air India Express flight bound for Sharjah encountered a hydraulics failure shortly after taking off from Trichy Airport on Friday evening. The flight, with 141 passengers on board, declared an emergency and spent nearly 2 hours circling over Trichy to burn off fuel before attempting an emergency landing. This critical maneuver was necessary to reduce the landing weight and potential risk during the emergency landing. The alertness and professionalism of the crew played a pivotal role in ensuring passenger safety throughout this nerve-wracking ordeal. Upon being informed of this emergency, Trichy Airport authorities swiftly implemented emergency protocols, placing the airport on high alert. More than a dozen ambulances and fire trucks were dispatched to the scene, ready to respond to any eventualities. In anticipation of a potential belly landing, foam was strategically sprayed on the runway to mitigate the risk of fire upon touchdown. These preparations underscored the importance of coordinated emergency responses in aviation safety. As the aircraft made its approach, tension gripped the airport. However, the skillful handling of the situation by the flight crew led to a successful and safe landing. Passengers, although shaken by the experience, were unharmed and disembarked without any incident. This incident stands as a testament to the critical importance of emergency preparedness, the effectiveness of coordinated efforts between flight crews and ground personnel, and the robustness of aviation safety protocols. The passengers were eventually accommodated on an alternative flight to their destination, while an investigation into the hydraulic failure was initiated to prevent such incidents in the future. The successful handling of this emergency not only ensured passenger safety but also reinforced confidence in the rigorous safety measures employed by Air India Express and Trichy Airport. Now we move forward to the last news of the day. The 22 times Grand Slam winning champion Rafael Nadal announces retirement this November. Nadal has competed the last 2 seasons with injuries. He has said that November's Davis Cup finals will mark his farewell to the sport. Nadal made this announcement through an emotional video on his social media account on Saturday. The tennis star expressed his gratitude towards his long-time colleagues and his entire support system throughout his career. He also gave a special shout-out to his great rivals. He said, "The reality is that it has been some difficult years, these last 2 especially. I don't think I have been able to play without limitations. It is obviously a difficult decision, one that has taken me some time to make. But in this life, everything has a beginning and an end. And I think it's the appropriate time to put an end to a career that has been long and much more successful than I could have ever imagined." Nadal is also looking forward for his last tournament that will be the final of the Davis Cup and representing his country. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching Newsify. Stay tuned for more news. Thank you.